Hello students, in this our lecture of standard 12 subject physics we are going to start a new chapter number 12 and the name of the chapter is atoms. We all are know about atoms very well, but here we will discuss about atom in a deep. So general facts about atoms, molecules we know, but we will go further from that over here. So first of all we will see the introduction of this chapter, that what is to be learned in this chapter. So first of all we will have the introduction of this chapter. So we know that first of all Thomson has found out the electrons and then proton and thereafter neutron. So the electron is found out by the Thomson, proton is found out by Goldstein and neutron is found out by the Chadwick in 1932. So this pattern, before Thomson, so many scientists had done the experiment about the analysis of atoms, but no one had succeeded in that. But we will here now discuss about the introduction of this chapter. So here we know that the first model of atom was proposed by J.J. Thomson in 1898. According to this model, the positive charge of the atom is uniformly distributed throughout the volume of the atom and the negatively charged electrons are embedded in it like a seeds in a watermelon. So it is called the plum pudding model. Plum pudding model. Who had given that model? So Thomson had given the plum pudding model. Plum pudding model. In this model, Thomson had said that the positive charge is spread out or spread anywhere in the atoms and negatively charged electrons are arranged like the pattern of seeds of a watermelon. So this was the plum pudding model of J.J. Thomson. Now, however, the subsequent study on atoms as described in this chapter showed that the distribution of the electrons and positive charges are very different from the proposed in this model. So after the Thomson, the discovery had done that this is the wrong pattern of the electrons and protons, because electrons are not arranged like a seeds in watermelon, but they are round or circular motion is done of electron in the atoms. So the plum pudding model of Thomson was not valid further that event. So after that, in the early 19th century, it was also established that each element is associated with a characteristics spectrum of radiation. And for example, hydrogen always gives a set of line with fixed relative position between the lines. Each and every atom has its different spectrum. That is called characteristic spectrum. This fact suggested an animate relationship between the internal structure of an atom and the spectrum of radiation emitted by it. In 1885, Johann Jacob Balmer obtained a simple empirical formula which gave the wavelength of a group of lines emitted by atom hydrogen. So that was the first formula which was introduced by Johann Jacob Balmer for the spectrum of hydrogen atom. Why the hydrogen is selected? Because it has the simplest structure of electron and the hydrogen has only one electron. So it was easy to find out the formula for the spectrum of an hydrogen atom only because it has simplest structure of electrons and least number of electrons in that. So that was the reason that why the hydrogen is selected for the spectrum firstly by John Jacob Balmer. Ernst Rutherford, a former researcher of J.J. Thomson, was engaged in experiments on alpha particle emitted by some radioactive element. In 1906, he proposed a classic experiment of scattering of these alpha particles by atoms to investigate the atomic structure. This experiment was later performed around 1911 by Hans Geiger and Ernst Marsden, who was 20-year-old student and not yet earned his bachelor's degree even. The details are discussed here. The explanation of the result led to the birth of Rutherford's planetary model of an atom. According to this, entire positive charge and most of the mass of the atom concentrated in a small volume called its nucleus, with electron resolving around the nucleus just as a planet, which was a major step towards how we see the atoms today. Because after Thomson, the Rutherford was only the scientist which has given the satisfactory solution of arrangement of an electrons, and that was after that was very true with the situation which we are seeing today. Now we will see the experiment of Rutherford's alpha particle scattering. So the experiment was done by Rutherford. So we can see the arrangement of Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment. Here we are having a beam alpha particle, and these are the bricks which match the slit, because we want the beam of alpha particles, and to create beam here we used the bricks. So figure we can see here, and the bricks are of lead, so we can say lead bricks. So these are lead bricks which makes the slit for alpha particles. Here we are having the source of alpha particles, and this source here makes the scattering here, that will be scattered, but here we have the beam of alpha particle, and here we are having the thin gold foil. Gold foil is here, this is our gold foil, and passing through this gold foil, so many alpha particles will be on the other side, and so many will scattered in the different angles, and very few amount of alpha particle will backward scattering of very small fraction, and the fraction is 1 gem 8000. So it is, and the detection of alpha particle is done by the detector. It is called microscope. As the alpha particles will here, so that will be scattered at different angle, and the number of alpha particles which will be scattered after this situation, so that will be detected by microscope called the detector. So in this, and here we are having the zinc sulfide screen. So zinc sulfide screen will give us a momentary dark spot where the alpha particle will incident over this zinc sulfide screen. So why we have selected the zinc sulfide screen? Because the zinc sulfide screen gives us the momentary dark spot where the alpha particle will bombard here. So we can detect it by the microscope or detector, and so many alpha particles will pass through this foil. There will be no scattering of so many alpha particles, which suggests that the major space in atoms are free. So there are no any particles in a major space of the atoms. There are some electrons over there, and that's why we can say that very small amount of atoms which is occupied by the positively charged particles, which we can say it protons, that is after that, but we can see that are here so many particles will pass throughout the screen, and very few amount of alpha particles will be scattering off backward side. So this was the experiment of Rutherford. Now we will see that experiment from our book. So we can say, at the suggestion of Ernest Rutherford in 1911, Geiger and Marsden performed some experiments. In one of their experiments, as shown in the figure, they directed a beam of 5.5 million electron volt alpha particles emitted from 83 bismuth 214. 83 bismuth 214. Atomic number of bismuth is 83 and atomic mass of that bismuth is 214 over here. Now bismuth is a radioactive source at a thin metal foil made of gold. So this is our gold foil. So figure shows a schematic diagram of this experiment. Alpha particle emitted by a bismuth radioactive source were collimated into a narrow beam by their passage through lead bricks. The beam was allowed to fall on a thin foil of gold of thickness 2.1 into 10 raised to minus 7 meter. So this is our gold foil, the thickness of which is 2.1 into 10 raised to minus 7 meter. The scattered alpha particle were observed through a rotatable detector consisting of a zinc sulfide screen. So this zinc sulfide screen and a microscope, the scattered alpha particle on striking the screen produced briefly light flashes on a stringlations. These flashes may be viewed through a microscope, and the distribution of the number of scattered alpha particles may be studied as a function of angle of the scattering. So we can see the scattering of alpha particles by this detector called microscope by the zinc sulfide screen. So a typical graph of total number of alpha particles scattered at different angles in a given interval of time. So it is shown here. We can see here the graph. We have taken on the y-axis the number of scattered alpha particles detected, and here we have given the scattering angle in degree. So we can say that here they are graph between the scattered alpha particles and scattering angle. Now after that, we can see from the figure that many of the alpha particles pass through the foil. It means they do not suffer any collisions. That's why it can pass throughout the gold foil. Only about 0.14% of the incident alpha particles scattered by more than 1%, 1 degree, and about 1 in 8,000 deflect by more than 90 degree. So Rutherford argued that to deflect the alpha particle backwards, it must experience a large repulsive force. This was the very useful sentence which was given by Rutherford, that why these 1 particles out of 88,000 particles comes backward. So he given the reason for this, that they must have a repulsive force with another particle which is inside the foil, and that is called the nucleus of the atoms. Now In Rutherford's nuclear model of atom, the entire positive charge and most of the mass of the atom are concentrated in a nucleus with electrons some distance away. The electrons would be moving in orbits about the nucleus just as the planets do around the sun. Alpha particles scattering experiment gives us the information about the motion of an electrons in the atoms. So he called that this motion is like a circular motion of earth around the sun. Rutherford's experiment suggested the size of the nucleus to be about 10 raised to minus 15 meter to 10 raised to minus 14 meter. From kinetic theory, the size of an atom was known to be 10 raised to minus 10 meter, about 10,000 to 1 lakh times larger than the size of nucleus. Thus, the electron would seem to be a distance from nucleus of about 10,000 to 1 lakh times the size of the nucleus itself. Thus, most of the atom is empty space, with the atom being largely empty space. It is easy to see why most alpha particles go right through a thin metal foil. However, when alpha particle happens to come near a nucleus, the intense of electric field there scatters it through a large angle. The atomic electrons, being so light, do not appreciable after the alpha particle. So we can see it from here. Now the scattering data shown can be analyzed by employing the Rutherford's nuclear model of the atom. As the gold foil is very thin, it can be assumed to be alpha particles will suffer not more than one scattering during their passage through it. That's why we have taken the foil which is very thin, that they cannot not make the arrangement of alpha particles more than one layer. Therefore, the computation of the trajectory of an alpha particle scattered by a single nucleus is enough. Alpha particle are nucleus of helium atom and therefore carry 2 units, that is 2e of positive charge and have the mass of the helium atom. The charge of the gold nucleus is Ze, and where Z is the atomic number of the atom for gold, Z equal to 79. We know that since the nucleus of gold is about 50 times heavier than the alpha particle, so it is reasonable to assume that it remains the stationary throughout the scattering process because it has very large amount of mass. Under these assumptions, the trajectory of an alpha particle can be computed employing Newton's second law of motion and the Coulomb's law for electrostatic force repulsion between the alpha particle and the positively charged nucleus. So we can apply here Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law gives us the information about the force between two particles. So that is F equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 into Q1, that is the charge of particle 1. So that is here Ze or 2e. One is alpha particle and the second is gold particle. So the charge of alpha particle is 2 electron and charge of charge of gold nucleus, which is Ze. So this is Ze and number of here for gold Z equal to 79. This is our 2e because it is the nucleus of helium atom, and upon r square. R is the distance between alpha particle and gold nucleus. So we can see here the formula where r is the distance between the alpha particle and nucleus. Now alpha particle trajectory, we will see about that. The trajectory traced by an alpha particle depends on the impact parameter b of collision. The impact parameter is the perpendicular distance of the initial velocity vector of the alpha particle from center of the nucleus. So it is here trajectory. If the direction of alpha particle is this, and here is the nucleus. Suppose this is our center of nucleus, then the perpendicular distance between these two, that is called our B, that is impact parameter. So now the impact parameter is the perpendicular distance of the initial velocity vector of the alpha particle from the center of the nucleus. A given beam of alpha particle has a distribution of impact parameter B, so that the beam is scattered in various directions with different probabilities. Now it is seen that an alpha particle close to the nucleus suffers large scattering in sake of head-on collision. Head-on collision, that is, if two particles collide with each other, then the energy of first particle it is given to the another particle, that is called head-on collisions. Now in case of head-on collisions, the impact parameter is minimum and the alpha particle rebounds. For a large impact parameter, the alpha particle goes near undeviated and has a small deflection, that is theta equal to 0. If the alpha particle is very far from the center, then the repulsive force will be very less, so that will not be scattered by the nucleus of a gold. For a large impact parameter, the alpha particles goes nearly undeviated and has a small deflections. The fact that only a small fraction of the number of incident particles rebound back indicates that the number of alpha particles undergoing head-on collisions is small. So this in turn implies that the mass of an atom is concentrated in a small region. Rutherford scattering error therefore is a powerful way to determine an upper limit to the size of the nucleus. So this was the very important nucleus of giving the motion of an electron, and it gives us very useful information about the inside structure of an atom. Only because of this experiment we could know that the so many amount of mass it is required for electrons, and there are very few amount of area which is covered by the nucleus. So nucleus requires very less area, but majority of mass which is concentrated in the nucleus of an atom. So the mass of an atom is required for nucleus which is very high. So major amount of mass is concentrated in the nucleus, and there are very small amount of mass which is required by the electrons which is circulating about its nucleus. So this was the very important experiment of Rutherford's. So further discussion will be done in our next session. Today we are stopping our lecture here. Thank you. Have a nice day.